not all nightmares are born from our imagination. Tonight, I'll share 3 true stories, as they were told by those who experienced them firsthand. Their words, their fears, and their unexplainable encounters. Settle in, dim the lights, and prepare for terror. The Vanishing Roommate. My name's Lisa, and this happened during my first year in college. I had just moved into my dorm and was paired with a girl named Emily. She was nice enough, quiet, kept to herself, but there was something a little odd about her. Sometimes I'd catch her staring out the window, mumbling to herself. One night, I came back late from the library. It was raining, and the dorm felt eerily quiet. When I walked into my room, Emily's side was empty. I mean, completely empty. No clothes, no books, no trace of her ever being there. I thought maybe she had moved out, but when I asked the dorm supervisor, she looked at me like I was crazy. She said, "You don't have a roommate." I insisted that I did, that Emily had been living with me for weeks, but she just shook her head. I started asking around, and that's when things got weirder. Some of my dorm mates said they'd seen me with Emily. Others swore they'd only ever seen me alone. I didn't know what to believe. Then, a few days later, I found an old photo under my bed. It was faded, but I recognized the girl immediately. It was Emily. The date on the back said 1986. I later found out that a girl named Emily had lived in my dorm back then, and she died in a fire. Even now, I sometimes dream of her standing at the window, mumbling the same words over and over. "Why didn't you save me?" The shadow in the cabin. My family and I rented a cabin in the mountains for a winter getaway in 2018. It was supposed to be a peaceful trip, just us and the snow. But from the first night, I had a bad feeling. Around midnight, I woke up to a creaking sound coming from the living room. At first, I thought it was the old wooden floor settling. But the next morning, we found scratches on the floor near the fireplace. Deep, jagged marks, like something had clawed at the wood. The next night, it got worse. I woke up to what sounded like heavy breathing right outside our bedroom door. I grabbed a flashlight and opened the door, but there was nothing there. By the third night, I was too scared to sleep. I set up a motion-sensitive camera in the living room and stayed awake, watching. Around 3 a.m., the camera picked up something, a shadow. It wasn't moving, just crouching in the corner of the room, completely still. The next morning, we packed up and left. When I told a local about our experience, he just nodded grimly. Apparently, the cabin had belonged to a hermit who disappeared years ago. They found his warnings carved into the walls. "Don't look for me, I'll find you." Even now, I can't help but wonder, what was in that cabin with us? The cursed doll. I love collecting vintage toys, so when I saw the doll at the flea market, I knew I had to have it. It was beautiful, porcelain face, hand-stitched dress, but there was something unsettling about it. The vendor tried to warn me, she said. This doll doesn't belong to just anyone. But I laughed it off and got into the store. I pretty instantly felt disturbed, but there was something unsettling about it. The vendor tried to warn me. She said the doll didn't belong to just anyone. The first night I had it, I woke up to the sound of humming. It was soft, like a child singing a lullaby. I thought I was dreaming, but when I got out of bed, the doll had moved. Its head was tilted to the side, its arms positioned differently. The second night, the lights in my house started flickering. Doors would slam shut on their own. I woke up with scratches on my arms, and I swear I could hear faint giggling. I tried to throw the doll away, but no matter what I did, it kept coming back. I'd leave it in the trash, and the next morning it would be sitting on the shelf, staring at me. I finally called a paranormal expert. They told me the doll was cursed, holding the spirit of a vengeful child. They performed a cleansing ritual, and for a while, everything seemed fine. But then, a week later, the doll reappeared, smiling wider than before. Now I keep it locked in a box in the attic, but I still hear it sometimes, the humming, the giggling. And I wonder, what will it do when it finally gets out? 3 stories, 3 lives forever changed. These are reminders that the unknown is always closer than we think. Thank you for joining me tonight. Sleep well if you can. Sleep well. If you can, use your awareness to familiarize yourself with the entire room.